Hi everyone, I'm Faith and I'm a product designer, and I'm passionate about creating designs that solve actual problem and also helping people grow as well. If you're a beginner and you want to know more about product design, do well to click the subscribe button. If you're an existing subscriber, thank you very much. Do well to share this video to people you know would benefit from it. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers, and so far so good, we've been doing very well, and I really appreciate people for that. Okay, so let's get into the video for today. You don't solve product problem by jumping straight into Figma to start designing screens. Designing a great product or great design, it actually comes with more clarity. How well do you understand the product you're trying to work on? What are the answers? You have several questions you need to ask yourself while proceeding before going into Figma section. If you're a new beginner, this video is going to help you understand how I approach my product problems every single time I work with a client or I'm approaching with a new idea. So do well to watch this video to the end. One of the great mistakes I made as a beginner then, whenever I hop on a new project, I always go straight to Figma. Whatever the idea is, I just open Figma and start thinking that I need to start sketching out the screens as soon as possible. However, that is a grave mistake, like a big one actually. You don't solve product problems by opening Figma directly. Great designs actually start with you gaining clarity on what you're about to work on as a designer. In this video, I'll be talking about the steps I take to approach product problem anytime I'm working with a new client, a new product idea, or I'm trying to work with a startup. Most beginners and even clients oftentimes jump straight into creating the UI. They want to create a dashboard, the login screen, the home page. They want to design every single thing on time and not even putting the main point into consideration, as long as they list to the feature, right? The real design is not just about the UI alone or the interface and screen alone. It's about you solving an actual problem. And to do this effectively, there are certain questions you need to ask yourself and ask the client you're trying to work with in order for you to be able to get certain points and you get to understand the goal of the product the client is trying to be. Most design beginners and even clients want to jump straight into the UI aspect of the project. They want to design the dashboard, they want to design the home page, every screen included. That is what their major focus sometimes is always about. But designing is not just about UI, it's about solving an actual problem. As a new designer then, every single time I get a new project, the very first thing that crosses my mind is just to go straight to Figma and start designing wireframe screens. And to be very honest, I don't ask certain questions. I don't even seek to gain clarity about what the project is about. I just get the feature listed and I feel like, you know what, there are existing products out there. Let me just go and look for similar things and just be designing the frame. However, my clients' feedbacks were actually similar. It's not about the fact that the design is not great or the design looks not modern enough, but over time, I learned that if the problem is not solved, your design is going to basically go amiss. It's not solving the problem why they are trying to design a product. Yes, it might be fancy. Yes, it might have that wow effect, but it's not really addressing the issue. And sometimes we might be carried away with trying to give the wow effect and wanting to create designs that look fantastic and are aesthetic looking, without actually knowing the roots of the whole problem. Why would I skip that process? After I learned this lesson, I decided to change my approach to designing products. Be it a new idea or an existing product, or be it a client that's coming with a brief that has everything listed, trust me to always take this step whenever I am to work on a project or a task. So now here are the things that I do step by step and has always helped me get my client on board, understand their problem, understand their users, and eventually give a product that actually tends to their needs and help them scale. Here is the step-by-step process. The first thing I'll do is to ask better questions. Whenever I'm onboarding a client or on a call with a client, there are certain questions I ask. I ask more of why. I'd want to understand the goal of the product, the actions the user is expected to take, what is the difficulty that the user is most probably going to face while using the application. I ask several questions and essentially the whole goal. Especially if I'm doing a redesign, I ask questions like, are you focused on the aesthetic? Do you want me to improve the layout, or you want me to improve the efficiency? The numbers of steps that the user would take to perform a particular action. I just want to know all these questions, as that is going to make me make better decision while going forward. The second thing I would do is to understand the user world. If I'm open on a new project or a new design, there are certain things that I'll do, like sending out surveys or interviewing users, because obviously it's a new product and I want to get to understand the user's perspective. However, if it's an existing product and they want me to improve the user flow, I basically would go on apps like Reddit, Google Review, to also check for feedbacks from people on similar products in the market, and to see if the client I'm currently working with have similar problems. And sometimes you get to notice and understand people's frustration from their review. You get to see this overview, and that does not only give you a space to be creative and innovative and actually solve new problems by addressing their frustrations and implementing it in your design. It also makes you be a very good designer, because your client can trust you to actually give them very good design and also functional ones. And also you help them have additional feature which solve the problems that you saw from those sites in review. And honestly, even if it's a new design, I still go to those sites to basically check for feedbacks and people's intake, especially if I'm not interviewing physical users. That also help me. After getting to understand the user's world and knowing the features I'll be implementing in my design, I go ahead and start mapping my user flow. As a beginner, most times I feel it's really not necessary for me to design a user flow every single time I'm to work on a product. However, I would always tell you to highlight it. You don't necessarily have to use Figma and make everything look so professional. Honestly, you can take a sheet of paper, write down the steps the user is going to take to perform a particular action. It does not only make you see the number of screen, it helps you figure out, is this the best flow, is this the best way. You get to even decide if you want to reduce the number of steps the user get to take before performing an action. Overall, it gives you an overview of every single thing you want to work on, how the user will take each step, what action the user is going to take, the numbers of screen. It gives you an estimate. Also, an additional benefit with this is you get to manage your time well, because you're going to basically prioritize, which lead me to my next point. My next point is to prioritize whatever feature you're designing. Every time I am designing, I'm sometimes just going based on how I feel. Let me just do this particular one first. But I've been changing my process. What I would do right now is I attend to the critical things first. We all know, or let's say if you're a new beginner, I'd always say the similar things for all mobile application or all dashboard and systems out there are obviously the login screens and the sign up. Those are like the basics. After I'm done with all those things, I go inside to understand what features I'm going to be implementing. After listing out the features that I'm going to be implementing, I don't just do everything once or try to do every single thing side by side. Honestly, that's just going to get overwhelming and you might get confused over time. So when you list out your features and you've done the basic and common thing to your design, you essentially pick out the critical one first. You can start by tackling the most complex flow and designing that first, or you can start with the easy one, whatever works for you. After prioritizing my design and stating out, the critical points and the first one I would like to work with, I then start designing my low fidelity designs. As a beginner then, I oftentimes think I can go straight to start designing the high fidelity design, and sometimes this does not give room for ideation because I'm applying the final touch to the design, and sometimes having to correct that can be very stressful, especially if you've designed or created your components and you're designing directly. However, designing your low fidelity wireframe first give you a chance to make corrections, make adjustments, improve the system overall, and have a final agreement with your client on what exactly you're going for. So before you design your high fidelity design, do well to actually ideate while creating your lo-fi design. You get their feedback and work basically on the final result. It not only help you be on the same page with your client or the people you work with, it also help you save time having to create a component and detach instance every single time. Trust me, you're gonna save more time doing that because you already agree on a layout. So good design starts with you understanding the concept, and this cannot be overemphasized, not you designing users interfaces first. However, in cases where your clients have a user flow drawn down, they have the features listed out, what you need to do is just skip the first three process and go straight into prioritizing what feature you'd like to do first. I'm saying this because obviously it's not always going to be one way. If you're working in a company or a system, there are also different ways and approaches to do that, because some systems have all these things done. All you need is just get feedback and reiterate and work on and improve the system. However, if you're improving the system, you also need to consider feedback as well. So yes, now going with that saying, you need to basically have a good understanding and clarity on what exactly you're working on as a designer. Comment below what stage you are in your design journey. If you actually have made that similar mistake before, honestly, yeah, there's still room for you to change. So yeah, you want to apply the steps I listed out in this video. I do hope this has been very helpful to you. Thank you very much and have a nice day.